This is Valley News Live at noon.
New for you at noon. A Fargo man has been sentenced to 3 days but will serve no jail time for an incident back in June 2020. 19-year-old Skylar Goodman was originally charged with 1 count of felony terrorizing with a deadly weapon, as well as 1 misdemeanor count of domestic assault. Court records show Goodman pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge of menacing. Any other charges were dismissed. Goodman was accused of assaulting a woman back in June of 2020. The weather continuing to be quite pleasant, but is it here to stay? It even looks beautiful from the Skycam. Let's check in with meteorologist Lisa Green.
Good afternoon. Yes, it is looking beautiful out there, not only in Fargo, but throughout the valley here. We've got lots of areas of blue sky and clear conditions, good visibility. Northern Valley, Southern Valley really enjoying that. So that's going to continue as we head into the afternoon hours today. Still have some issues on those roads, still some slick spots out there that you're going to want to watch out for. If you're not in green, those are areas where we're looking at either some ice or some wet and slushy conditions on the road surface. Checking out your temperatures, they are working their way toward freezing. We're currently at 29 in Fargo, 28 in Grand Forks, 37 in Jamestown, milder there. And over to the east, we also have a couple of 30s. Bemidji now at 31. Radar and satellite map looking a lot quieter. Where you see the movement in the upper right on the screen, that's the cloud cover moving on. Where you see the white that's not moving at all, that's our snow that we have from the latest round that moved through. So lots of areas picked up a little bit of snow and covered the ground and added to where we had it. Wind speeds are starting to pick up. We're starting to see some more gusts out there here, and those will once again get stronger as we head into the day and nighttime hours today. Expect temperatures to be a few degrees warmer than where we are now. We'll have details on all of that and take a look at the weekend ahead too coming up.
Got to definitely stay tuned with you because those 30s on that screen looks absolutely beautiful. It feels great as well. Thank you. Now we're just weeks away from the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who's accused of killing George Floyd. And the area around the Hennepin County Courthouse in downtown Minneapolis is starting to look like a war zone now that the plaza is surrounded by metal fencing and concrete barricades. City workers are also installing razor wire in various sections to deter people from going into secure areas around the courthouse. The jail just a few blocks away has also been heavily fortified in recent days, and more measures will be put in place over the next several days. A Minnesota family says it seems to be one thing after another. Nearly a month ago, we told you about a horse that was shot and killed in rural Earhart. Now we're learning a barn at the same location has burned to the ground. Authorities say the barn is too badly damaged to determine a cause, and that there's no way to tell if the fire and the horse being killed are connected in any way.
It just seems very overwhelming. I know we're not supposed to get more than what we can handle, but it's just been so much.
Life on Yvonne's farm has been anything but easy the last month, and she's hoping her family can catch a break soon. Well, average daily COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths from COVID are all down over the past week. And the Biden administration says vaccine distribution has increased 70% since the president took office. Despite that, demand still far outweighs supply, but we could see a big boost with a third vaccine option coming from Johnson & Johnson, potentially hitting the market next week. NBC's Tom Costello has more details from Washington.
Developing overnight, the New York Times reports 2 new studies have found a new strain of the COVID virus is spreading rapidly in New York City. The problem, that variant potentially has the ability to weaken the effectiveness of current vaccines. The Times says neither study has been vetted by peer review nor published in a scientific journal, but the results are consistent. Meanwhile, the FDA is poised to give emergency approval to a new vaccine. The agency staff endorsing Johnson & Johnson's vaccine ahead of an emergency use hearing Friday with the FDA's independent advisory panel called VRBPAC.
If the EUA is granted, we will waste no time getting this life-saving vaccine into the arms of Americans.
If approved, Johnson & Johnson's candidate would become the third vaccine available to the public. Data released by the company shows its vaccine to be 72% effective in the United States at preventing moderate and severe disease. That's lower than Moderna and Pfizer's 95% rating, but Johnson & Johnson's vaccine requires just 1 shot and can be stored in a regular refrigerator. Trials also found it to be 100% effective in preventing COVID-related hospitalizations and deaths. Meanwhile, Moderna has updated its vaccine formula to target virus variants found in the UK and South Africa. That new formula now shipped to the NIH for study. Moderna's president urging Americans to get any shot that becomes available.
Any vaccine is better than no vaccine, particularly if it's been reviewed by the FDA and recommended by the CDC.
In an exclusive interview, the head of Pfizer tells NBC's Lester Holt his company is going to start studying the effectiveness of a booster, potentially adding a third shot to its 2-dose vaccine.
Is your expectation that this will turn into a routine 3-dose vaccine?
A likely scenario is that we will not have a 3-dose vaccine. We will have an annual revaccination, likely with 1 dose of the vaccine.
Officials say Pfizer will now be testing the vaccine on children ages 5 to 16 to see how well they tolerate the vaccine and how much protection a vaccine affords them. Sanford Health and Cass County Public Health has shared their vaccination doses for the week, saying their numbers have increased significantly from weeks prior. They reached out to other hospitals, clinics, and service units in the area to see if their results are the same with them. Grand Forks Public Health Department says they have not received a significant increase in their allocations locally. The health department plans to vaccinate around 3,500 individuals this week. Essentia Health says they have received 1,500 first doses this week. The hospital is scheduled to receive 1,500 more doses next week. This is in addition to the 1,500 second doses they'll receive next week and double their normal allocation. The vaccines will all be used by next Friday at vaccination clinics in Fargo, Castleton, Wapaton, Hankinson, Jamestown, Valley City, and Lisbon. Fargo-Cass Public Health bases their vaccine allocation on a 3-week rotation from the North Dakota Department of Health. The Public Health Center has received some smaller first dose allocations along with their planned second dose allocations. The Public Health Center will administer approximately 1,350, which is 1,350 doses this week. The makers of 2 authorized coronavirus vaccines in the U.S. are now testing to see if a third shot would protect against the emerging variants. Pfizer and BioNTech say their study will include 144 people who received the vaccines 2 doses in phase 1 trial. They would get the booster shot between 6 and 12 months after their earlier doses. The trial will elevate its safety and tolerability. The companies are currently in talks with the FDA about testing a vaccine modified to protect specifically against the variant first identified from South Africa. If you want to stay on top of the latest COVID vaccine related information, check out our VNL vaccine tracker. Visit our website or simply open your phone camera and point it at the QR code on your screen. Then tap the link that pops up. This Saturday, Gray Media, which owns Valley News Live, is partnering with the Grand Ole Opry to help bring in donations to Feeding America. Chris Jansen and Travis Tritt are among several artists that will appear, all in an effort to help people who have been affected by various disasters so far this year. The show will air live this Saturday on both KVLY and KXJB at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget this weekend, the Bison will take they will travel to Carbondale, Illinois to take on Southern Illinois for their second game of the spring season this Saturday. The pregame show starts at 11 and kicks off is set for noon. You can catch all the action on KVLY. You hold the ticket to making a child's wish come true. Valley News Live is once again teaming up with Make-A-Wish for its Miles for Smiles drive today. So far, the Miles for Smiles drive has received over 171,000 airline miles. This is almost enough for a family of 3 to travel on their wish list. It's not too late to help. Miles will be accepting by calling the number provided on your screen. You can also donate anytime online at wish.org/North Dakota. A minimum donation of 1,000 miles is required for Delta and United. Well, coming up at noon, if you have been living off of takeout, you may want to stick around to see where exactly your food may be coming from. And the weather continuing to feel better this week than last week. It's even looking better on the Skycam. Weather up next to Plan Your Day with meteorologist Lisa Green.